Hackers are hitting back at Reddit for their API changes, USB malware hits Ukraine, and state DMV data was stolen via the MOVEit Vulnerabilities. All that coming up now on ThreatWire. Greetings! I am Shannon Morse and this is ThreatWire for June 20th, 2023. This is your summary of the threats to our security, privacy, and internet freedom. Let's go ahead and jump right into the news this week. Hackers are holding the popular social media platform Reddit hostage, demanding a hefty ransom and the reversal of the controversial API price hikes. The group responsible for this cyber threat is Black Cat Ransomware Gang, also known as ALPHV. They claim to have stolen 80 gigabytes of compressed data from Reddit during a breach that occurred in February. Now, Reddit has confirmed the cyber incident did occur on February 9th, but it remained kind of vague about the details. However, Reddit's CTO, Christopher Slow, at the time did reveal that employee information and internal documents were compromised in a targeted phishing attack. This data included source code as well, and the attackers gained access through a phishing attack on a single employee's credentials. Now, he did reassure users that no evidence suggested personal user data like passwords and accounts had been stolen. Now, the Black Cat Gang is taking responsibility for the breach and threatening to leak confidential data that they obtained during the attack. It is important to note that the exact nature of the stolen data remains unclear, and Black Cat has yet to provide any evidence of their claims. In a recent post titled "The Reddit Files," Black Cat revealed that they had contacted Reddit twice, both in April and in June, but they received no response. Frustrated by the lack of communication, they have now demanded a $4.5 million ransom in exchange for deleting the stolen data and for Reddit to roll back their API pricing changes. Speaking of those pricing changes, they have caused quite a stir within the Reddit community. Third-party Reddit app Apollo has announced its closure as a direct result of this new pricing. Moreover, thousands of subreddits, including popular ones, have gone dark in protest of the new API policy, with some planning to remain dark indefinitely. At this time, it is not known whether or not Reddit will respond to the group's demands. This isn't the first time the Black Cat Gang has made headlines. Back in March, they targeted Western Digital, stealing a whopping 10 terabytes of data, including customer information. They also threatened to leak data allegedly stolen from Ring, which is that video surveillance company owned by Amazon. Researchers from Symantec, now owned by Broadcom, have uncovered evidence that hackers working for Russia's Federal Security Service, or the FSB, have been conducting multiple cyber attacks on Ukrainian targets using USB-based malware. The group, which is known as Shuckworm, Garmageddon, or Armageddon, depending on who you ask, have been active for almost a decade, since 2014, and they are believed to be linked to the FSB. Now, their primary objective is to gather intelligence on Ukrainian targets. Researchers have found that the group has specifically targeted over 5,000 individual entities in Ukraine, with a focus on areas where Ukrainian troops are deployed, according to Sentinel-1. In February, Shuckworm launched a new campaign using USB-based malware to infiltrate the defenses of the Ukrainian army, security services, and government organizations. They developed a PowerShell script that spread through a backdoor, which is called Teredo. Hopefully that's how you say it. When an infected USB drive is connected to a targeted computer, the script copies itself onto the machine, creating shortcut files with enticing names like video porn, I don't want to get blocked on YouTube.rtf.lnk, or do not delete.rtf.lnk to entice users into opening them. I'm sure you get the picture. The malware then enumerates all connected drives and attempts to spread to removable devices, possibly targeting air-gapped devices. Shuckworm has been clever in covering its tracks, creating multiple variants of the malware and rapidly changing its command and control infrastructure. They also utilize services like Telegram and Telegraph for command and control to avoid detection. Now, to initially infiltrate targets' computers, Shuckworm typically uses phishing emails with malicious attachments disguised as various file types, such as .docx, .rar, .sfx, LNK, and HTA. These emails often lure targets with topics like armed conflicts, criminal proceedings, combating crime, or protecting children. Symantec researchers recovered an infected computer and found that once a malicious document was opened, a PowerShell command was executed to download the next stage payload from the attacker's command and control server. This ongoing campaign has seen Shuckworm continuously update its obfuscation techniques and use a larger number of IP addresses in their PowerShell scripts to evade detection. Symantec's researchers have shared important indicators of compromise in their post, including IP addresses, hashes, and file names to help potential victims identify if they have been targeted. They emphasize that Shuckworm's activities pose a serious threat, especially as Russian-backed attack groups continue their relentless focus on Ukraine to gather data that may aid their military operations. Biggest of shoutouts to my Patreon supporters, especially my golden s'mores and their fur babies for making the show possible, since we don't have ads on the show at all. And a huge thank you to Corey, Snowbike, Devin, and Daniel for being a part of the s'mores over at patreon.com/Shannon Morse. That is my new Patreon page for the show. I'm gonna be posting all the perks for patrons, including early access to this very video. If you are currently a patron on the ThreatWire page, switch on over to the new one so you don't lose access to those perks. Let's go ahead and finish out today's episode with my last top story. We have an update on the Clop ransomware group and the MOVEit file transfer vulnerability. It's actually vulnerabilities now, and recent attacks. As of the 14th, Clop is now targeting companies impacted by the MOVEit data theft attacks. As a first step, they have listed the names of these companies on a data leak site, which is a common tactic they employ before publicly disclosing stolen information. The Clop gang exploited a zero-day vulnerability in the MOVEit Transfer secure file transfer platform way back on May 27 to steal files stored on the server. They claimed responsibility for these attacks, boasting about breaching hundreds of companies. The threat actors did warn that if negotiations did not occur, the names of these companies would be added to the data leak site on June 14th. Now that deadline has passed, and yesterday the Clop gang listed 13 companies on their data leak site. This includes Shell, United Healthcare Student Resources, the University of Georgia, the University System of Georgia, Heidelberger Druck, and Landau Green Parks, all of which have confirmed that they were impacted to varying degrees by the MOVEit attacks. Another company, Greenfield CA, was listed but is now removed, either because they were there by mistake or negotiations are currently taking place. News outlets have started to confirm that other organizations as well, including Zealous, the University of Rochester, the government of Nova Scotia, the US state of Missouri, the US state of Illinois, Born Ontario, Offcam Extreme Networks, and the American Board of Internal Medicine have already disclosed breaches as well related to this MOVEit transfer platform. Adding to the gravity of the situation, CNN has reported that the US Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, is now investigating breaches in several US federal agencies that were compromised using the MOVEit zero-day vulnerability. 2 entities within the US Department of Energy were also reportedly affected. However, the Clop ransomware gang claimed to have automatically deleted any stolen data from government entities, including military and children's hospitals. Nevertheless, once data is stolen, there is no guarantee that it has been fully deleted as promised, and it should be assumed to be at risk. I had mentioned some states in this segment, and this impacts over 3.5 million Oregon residents and potentially over 3 million Louisiana residents who possess driver's licenses or state ID cards. The compromised information may include social security numbers and driver's license numbers. As a result, state authorities are urging residents to take preventive measures against identity fraud. These attacks are also linked to the CLOP group in relation to the MOVEit ransomware attacks, as both states have confirmed that they use this program. The Louisiana Office of Motor Vehicles, or OMV, revealed that all residents with a Louisiana driver's license, ID, or car registration are likely to have their personal information compromised. That includes their name, address, social security number, birth date, height, eye color, driver's license number, vehicle registration information, and handicap placard information. However, there is no indication that the stolen data has been used, sold, or shared by the CLOP gang. Similarly, the Oregon Driver and Motor Vehicle Services reported that approximately 3.5 million Oregonians with an ID or driver's license were impacted by the MOVEit transfer data breach. This accessed data contains personal information, some of which is considered sensitive as well. Progress, the company behind MOVEit Transfer, has issued a warning and released security patches to address another vulnerability that could lead to escalated privileges and potential unauthorized access to the environment. The vulnerability, this one is tracked as CVE 2023-35708, is also a SQL injection flaw. Progress has urged all affected software versions of MOVEit Transfer to apply the patch immediately to address this new vulnerability. In response to this security concern, Progress has taken down the HTTPS traffic for MOVEit Cloud, and they are advising all MOVEit Transfer customers to restrict their HTTP and HTTPS traffic to safeguard their environments while the patch is being finalized. As a temporary workaround until servers are patched, Progress strongly recommends modifying firewall rules to deny HTTP and HTTPS traffic to MOVEit Transfer on ports 80 and 443. This means that users will not be able to log into their accounts via a web UI, but file transfers will still be available through SFTP and FTPS protocols. Admins can still access MOVEit Transfer by connecting to the Windows server via remote desktop and going to localhost. As for individuals, resetting your passwords, placing a credit freeze on bank accounts, especially if you live in one of the vulnerable states, monitoring credit reports for identity theft, and reporting any suspicious activities to authorities and card issuers are all crucial steps to protect personal information. As of now, there are multiple severe vulnerabilities for MOVEit Transfer, and each one has its own CVE. These developments highlight the critical importance of applying security patches and protecting your systems and your data. I'm Shannon Morse. Make sure to stay vigilant, stay secure, and I will see you on the internet.